right, guys, today's topic is solving 1- and 2-step inequalities. At this point, you've had quite a bit of experience solving 1- and 2-step equations, and solving inequalities is really very similar. So our heading is solving 1- and 2-step inequalities. Page number, you should be on page 53. The date is October 22nd, and your objective is I can solve 1- and 2-step inequalities and graph the answers on a number line. Okay, so yesterday we talked about graphing inequalities on a number line, and now we're going to look at actually solving them. So let's jump right in. When you solve inequalities, I want you to treat it just like an equation, okay? So pretend you're just solving a regular equation. You're going to draw a balance. Instead of the balance coming down from an equal sign, however, your balance is just going to come down from some kind of inequality symbol, maybe less than or equal to, okay? So you draw your balance, and then you're going to use inverse operations to solve for your variable. Does this sound familiar, guys? Then you're going to check your answer to make sure you got it right. And finally, you're going to graph your answer on a number line. Okay? So let's go ahead and jump right into doing one. Make sure that you wrote those steps down, guys, those notes. They should be on page 53. So pause and take a minute to write them down if you need to. All right, so some examples for us. Let's only do one at a time. And the first one we're going to work on is 3m is less than or equal to 9. This should be on page 54. Make sure you're putting your page numbers. And to solve this, I'm going to solve it just like any other equation. I'm going to draw my balance, and I'm going to ask myself, okay, here's my variable. Now, what is happening to my variable? In this case, there is a hidden operation here between the 3 and the m, and that hidden operation is, hopefully you said multiplication. So in order to undo that multiplication, I simply have to divide both sides by 3. I'm going to do that using a fraction bar instead of the old-fashioned division symbol. Trust me, it's going to be easier as you get further in algebra. And so then this 3 and this 3 cancel, leaving me with m. It's a really funky m. And this 9 and divided by this 3 gives me 3. And I'm just going to bring this symbol straight on down. It's going to be less than or equal to. So my answer is m is less than or equal to 3. I will check it. I'll plug this 3 back in for m, and I will say, okay, well, 3 times 3 less than or equal to 9, and I have 9 less than or equal to 9. Awesome! I did it. Smiley face. All right. Now, oopsie, didn't want to erase all of that. Now I need to plot this on my number line. I have less than or equal to. And because of that, I'm going to use a closed circle. I'll do it in yellow. And I'm going to put it right at 3. Very good. And then I'm going to draw an arrow, like so. Since the symbol, my inequality symbol, is pointing left, I need my arrow to point left. Let me straighten that out for you. And I have m is less than or equal to 3. And guys, I can take any of these numbers in this yellow area and plug them into this equation. In fact, let's try that. Let's take -2 and plug that in here and see if it makes this inequality true. So I have 3 times, instead of m, I'll put -2 is less than or equal to 9. That's a 2, really it is. 3 times -2 is -6. Is -6 less than or equal to 9? And the answer is yes. Yay! That means that you solved this question correctly. Well done. Okay, let's try another one. This is still a one-step inequality. I have x minus 6 is greater than or equal to -4. I'm making it a little bit more complicated with negatives here, guys. Let's go ahead and go through and change this subtraction to adding the opposite. I'll draw my balance. Beautiful. And I need to cancel adding -6. The only thing that cancels -6 is a +6. So I'll do a +6 on both sides. Those will cancel, leaving me with x on the left-hand side, a greater than for my inequality symbol, and -4 plus 6. Don't forget your rules of integers. Different signs, find the difference. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then take the sign of whichever is further from 0, or whichever has more soldiers. In this case, it's going to be positive. So my answer is x is greater than 2. I go to graph it on my handy-dandy number line, and I need to make sure to use an open circle, not a closed circle. My line color will be yellow. There we go. An open circle, because this doesn't have the less than underneath. Open circle at 2, and then I will get my arrow in yellow. And since my inequality is pointing to the right, so will the arrow when I graph this equation, or inequality, sorry. And how about I pick any of these numbers in the yellow section to plug back in here? I can't choose 2. 2 has an open circle. That means I can't use it. But I can use 4. Let's plug that in. I can barely see my original equation. There it is. Okay, so I have 4 minus 6 is greater than -4. Change that to adding the opposite. 4 plus -6. All right, different signs, find the difference. That gives me 2. And then there's more evil soldiers, so it's going to be -2. And ask yourself, is -2 greater than -4? And be careful here, guys. A lot of people get messed up and say, no, it's less than, because 2 is less than 4. When you're in the world of negatives, things get a little funky. -4 is right here. -2 is right here. -2 is further to the right than -4, therefore it is greater than. So our problem checks out. Awesome. All right, one more question on this same page. We have a 2-step equation now. So let's go ahead and just go through the same process. Here's our balance. I'm going to start out following SADMAP. Sorry guys, I still don't have my pen. And I'm going to undo the subtraction and addition first. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Leave me with 2y is greater than or equal to -1 plus 5. Different signs, find the difference. The difference between 5 and 1 is 4. And there are more good soldiers, so good wins. It's going to be positive. And then I have to finish this out because it's a 2-stepper. Divide both sides by 2. And I end up with y is greater than, oh, that's weird, is greater than or equal to 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2. This symbol means I'm going to have a closed circle at +2. It's a lovely circle, isn't it? Awesome. And then, of course, I will have my line going from 2 to the right, because that's where my inequality symbol points. All right, guys, I think you're pretty good at these by now. And I want to go ahead and try and give you your reflection question. We're going to do lots and lots of practice on these tomorrow in class. But for now, I want you to explain to me in words, how do you know which way to draw the arrow when you are graphing an inequality? And I want you to be very specific using complete sentences, correct punctuation, pretend like you're writing something for your language arts teacher. All right, I look forward to reading your responses. Have a wonderful evening, guys.